Hey folks, good morning. Back at where we left off. Which of course starts with getting all this crap off my area. it's actually, or is it this one? One of these was actually kind of, yeah, I think it's this one. I must have not done a good job of cleaning this thing off. Yep, easy fix. A little bit of hand sanitizer, takes that off. I was using probably the matte coat. I was starting to, that's right, and it threw me off because I just painted the edge of the figures and I couldn't matte coat the German, so I should start on that probably first. Okay, these guys are plenty matte. And I might give them an enamel cover after that, but I definitely want to protect them with this acrylic matte. Let's get some water, neutralize that. If there's any active ingredients there in that stuff. I don't want them to reactivate the semi-gloss spray that's over 20 years old that's on here that's a lacquer. Good morning, Mr. Barnes. Good. Yeah, it's still morning for you. Barely. What time's tea time? About 2? I like tea. I just don't like hot tea. I don't drink anything hot other than a soup. So we'll put this coat on here to kind of protect it. And then if we feel the need, we need to add more. We can always brush up on top of that, but I don't want it to reactivate this work that I did 20 years ago that I'm very happy with. I tested this on a couple of them because this is kind of milky white in places, but it dries clear. You know, before the internet, I tried a couple different things, and what I was happiest with, what I thought I was the happiest with, was semi-gloss. But it just, after 20 years of seeing pictures of things on the internet, I actually prefer the flat look. You go through all this effort of putting shadows exactly where you want them, and there's no point in adding some kind of gloss that distorts that. Some of these early Germans I've got painted as the stone gray pants and the field gray with just a little bit of green tunic. You still have hang-ups about varnishing. What do you mean? Not getting consistent results? The latest thing I've had is I'm painting really, really thin. I'm using very, very little paint. And when I'm putting on the lacquer coat, it's kind of eating through it. So I've started putting this little mat on top of it, and then varnish with the heavy stuff. This stuff is plenty flat. I just know it's not as durable as, you know, something like the lacquer thing. Yeah, you got to use something that's different. So if you're painting in acrylics like I do, well, you can always put matte over acrylics. They don't reactivate. This guy's got some really nice wood on his Mauser. This guy was done probably around 1998, 1999. Good morning, Benjamin. Was that the last one? I guess that was the last one. Yeah. So we'll leave these guys alone for a second. We gotta decide where we're gonna go next. I got more of these Bloody Jerry's to redo. And let's see if I can give you kind of an idea where I'm coming from, even though you're not going to get the right color. So say you got a guy like, let me find where the camera is. There we go. Nope, did I go the wrong way? I'm really incompetent when it comes to this. Okay. And the lighting is just so, it's not ideal for, let's see, what if we get another light source as well? See if that helps. Did that help? Let's see what happened here. Let me look at the screen. Problem is it just fades everything out. I don't know that it did. All right. It doesn't look bad on screen. You guys are seeing it's looking a lot yellower than it really is. It looks good on my phone, and on my computer screen it doesn't look as good. But you can just tell, like, you can see the color tone there. As soon as I add this, look how it makes it. See how it changes it? And then that looks yellowish. And then that looks correct. So this is the refurbed basing. And let's grab one of these other folks here from there's nothing wrong with this figure other than it has a little bit of a semi-gloss tint to it. And you can tell the basing is extremely archaic. Some of the equipment's a little brighter than I would do now, but I'm gonna leave them as it is. This is the Gewehr 41 gunner. Semi-automatic rifle. What am I painting? I'm rebasing my 20mm figures from the 90s. But the painting on them is still solid. They just need to be redone. Here's a Battlefield guy, or Drew's Militia. I forget which one it is. I think it's from the Stalingrad range. It's probably Battlefield. I'm gonna pick another 3 guys and refurb them. See if I can grab 3 guys that are Battlefield. That way we can post it on their site. Although my favorites are still combat miniatures. Here he is, guys with a Faust. Well, I just don't know where the limits of the camera are, do I? Yeah, we'll grab these 3 guys. This is Bear, Freeman, and Bloom. Yeah, I'm incompetent when it comes to cameras and stuff like that. I don't know how to fix this lighting issue. I've tried tinkering with it before. I can't get it. This screen is so freaking... Yeah, right there, it got better. I don't know. I paint. Okay, so the first thing is let's take these Litco stands. These are all based on pennies. Hey, studio. Welcome back. Take 3 of these. These are Litco heavy-duty magnets. This just makes it easy if I ever have to travel with it. I think this guy's got an MP40. It's about to die, doesn't he? Yeah, I could snap at any moment. That's a shame. Sometimes you get figures that are... And they haven't really have that much handling done to them. And where's my exact knife out there? These things stick on really, really well. But the basing that we used to do, I believe, was just Games Workshop Goblin Green. And you would just drop it in like a box that I had of Woodland Scenics Tufts. Not Tufts, but the flock. Which looks like it had 2 different colors of it in there. And that was it. I'd let it dry. And that's way too basic for these days. I'm not happy with it. That's ultimately what the problem is. The creator needs to be the one that needs to be happy with their work. If not, well, they're the ones that know how to fix it. If I gotta transport these guys, or even on a tray, you know, even with something just as small as this, you know, like, let me take my figures to the table. You know, you can put your figures somewhere on something metallic and you're not worried about them falling off. But I don't plan on traveling with these at all. But I don't mind the base being a little thicker. Yeah, this is original Games Workshop Goblin Green. Okay, and all we're going to do is, since the base is a little bit bigger, we're going to just go around the edge and make sure it doesn't stick out anymore. So I happen to like it flush. At the time that I did this, the only acrylics that I had, or that were readily available in Florida, there was 4. Citadel, I'll call them Citadel because that's what they were called back then. And we're talking about early to mid 80s, not 80s, 90s. You had Games Workshop, Poly S by Flocal. A company that they weren't carried by my local shop, but when we traveled down to Tampa, we would pick up a company called Howard Hughes. They came kind of in big tubs, bigger tubs, and they were squat. Not too unlike maybe the size of this. I don't know what this is doing here. I don't have an Apple phone. And what was the fourth one? Oh yeah, Model Master Acryl. It had just come on the scene. So I was basing black in with Model Master Acryl because it's a little bit more durable. It's kind of gummy though, but it's thicker than any of the other ones that I was using. And the Citadel stuff mixed the best. It just it just goes on like a dream. And I understand that the lineage of those paints are the same people that do Cote d'Arms now, which are my favorite paints, even though I have very few of them. They have nice pigment and they apply really, really well. The polyester paint wasn't bad, but their containers stunk from the standpoint that you couldn't get a good seal on them. And next time you used them, they might have dried out a little bit. So that was less than ideal. You only had Citadel, but my group used Winsor & Newton inks. I don't have any experience using Winsor, any inks at all. I just haven't really experimented with it. So I think the field gray that I used for most of these was the base was the polyester one. And sometimes I add a little bit of extra green in it, just to give them kind of different. If you look at a pile of German uniforms, you can see that they're all kinds of different colors. Different factories, fade differently, war shortages, etc. They don't all look the same. One artistic license I did do is all of their shoulder boards. Shoulder boards? Well, their collars and their, later in the war they went to like a field gray. I basically kept them at the dark green of early. It just looks better to my eye. I probably wouldn't do that now. If I'm painting new German figures, I probably wouldn't do that. It'd be a little bit more realistic, but that was my artistic license back then. Okay, so those guys are done now. I want to get a good cut on that. Let's go ahead and put this one over here inside the microphone area so we remember where that one is. And we're going to scrape some of this stuff off that I don't really want on the figure, even though I'm going to cover it. So let's try this candidate first. Remember starting out using Humbrol enamel paints from the first couple of years, going to those acrylics from Games Workshop was really weird at the beginning. I didn't paint much before the advent of acrylics, fortunately. But I'm going to tell you that if we had to go back and we went to, and I only had one tin of Humbrol enamel paint, and that's when I was painting a Firefly. I have a Firefly that I painted 25 years ago from Britannia. And I want to get the right color, and word on the street was that the Humbrol one, whatever coat it was the most accurate. So I painted that one using enamels. But I wasn't like a new painter. I was already like pretty experienced, and I didn't have a problem using it. But as a kid, man, just being able to have like unlimited thinner that comes out of the faucet, or way to clean your brushes is like huge. Plus no smell and many other reasons, but I could go back to using it in enamels if I wanted to. I just don't like the idea that they can reactivate the color underneath. Hard to use. We really didn't have Humbrol here in the States. We had Testers, which was bad paint And the brushes that you had as a kid were even worse. Those nylon brushes. I mean, I could probably make things happen with those Testors paints. I just have to thin them a little bit. As long as I get to use some of the brushes that I have now. I don't have expensive brushes, mainly because you can't find them. You can't go to a store and pick up expensive brushes here in town. You got to mail order them. And if you bought any amount of brushes at all, you don't want to mail order brushes because you don't know how they're going to look. Because every brush is different. It's almost like a fingerprint. Every one of them's different. So I want to look at them like, okay, this one's got potential. This goes to a good tip, or this has got like one stray hair. We can cut that one off. That kind of thing. Remember as a kid, my parents forced me to paint in the kitchen because it was the easiest place to ventilate. Wow, did those old paints smell that much? I don't remember. I don't remember. But man, it's nice using paints that have no smell. You go and start doing something that has a smell to it, it's really noticeable now because this hobby doesn't have a smell. Some of the people that play games in the hobby have a smell. But even this is probably one of the harshest things that I use, and it's a lacquer, and it's kind of strong smelling, I would say, but it's not unpleasant. Yeah, it smells a lot less than, say, fingernail polish. And I use such small amounts. But yeah, none of this paint has any smell. Some of it actually, if it has a little bit of a smell, it actually smells nice, like the coat the arms smell nice. What else has a nice smell to it? That may be it. You can't smell them. Using enamels for starships makes sense, you were told. The enamel metallics running after varnishing. Oh yeah, it's the reactivation thing. Yeah. Yeah, and back then you couldn't just, we'll just put acrylic in the airbrush and just spray it with acrylic. You didn't have that. You didn't have that stuff. Hey Ben, welcome back. So you want to know when I'm going to be able to do this test on these rules? I don't know. A year. Give me a year. I should be able to do a game this year in 2023. Notice some of the Citadel contrast paints have a smell to them. I'm just not interested in them. I mean, I'm glad that they make different products. I am very pro-consumer. The more choices the consumer has, the better off we all are. It's just, it'd be like going back in time for me, Actually, never thought about doing what I'm doing right now. It might actually be a good thing. You got these little fuzzies. And I'm going to cover all this over, but I don't really want any of this stuff sticking out. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to be a little bit better. That's probably going to be good enough. Freeman. Watching Blood Bowl zine last night. You did a good job on them, especially with the old 90s technology. Yeah, I'm behind on videos. Other people's videos. I just don't. It's not that I'm not interested in other people's stuff. It's just that I just forget. There's a guy who's been subscribed to for a long time, and I don't really watch his content, mainly because he's a board gamer. I don't have a problem with board games. It's just not my focus. I've said before, it's working and painting on things that are creative like this is my therapy. Playing games is not my therapy. They're fun, they're distracting, but I don't necessarily feel better when I'm done playing, especially a video game. I sometimes get in a bad mood. You're playing a game and you're constantly fighting like hordes of things, not being left alone for a second. Oh, this is making a mess. Onto the floor where you go. The easiest place to clean is the floor. static grass and other kinds of grass. I guess this isn't really static. This is more like foam. Sometimes you'll play a game and you don't get left alone for a second. It's like, dude, leave me alone. Let me go find a corner to hide in while I look at the stuff that I picked up in the game. Never enameled and airbrush. I've never done it either, and I don't plan on ever doing it. I'm new to airbrushing, meaning I've only done it like another 6 months. Well, I used to do it in the 90s and early, but it wasn't my own airbrush. We had an airbrush we could use at the hobby store. But now I've gotten better at it. But you go through a lot of water just to get it clean. And I would hate to pay for all that enamel stuff. Plus it stinks. And it's bad for the environment and everything else. Now, the reason I went to an airbrush is because I was doing the sealing at the end on my vehicles. I was using rattle cans, and the rattle can quality just went down. It was very unpredictable. They would clog, and the brand I was using got discontinued that I was pretty happy with, that I've been using for 30 years, maybe even 40 years. 40 years? 35 years. Since the late 80s, they stopped it. They discontinued Model Master. So the other alternatives were just very cheapy, and they smelled horrible. Just like, I don't want to sit in a room and inhale this, but when it's somewhere and I smell it, it is not an unpleasant smell. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but those cans were really, really toxic. I can't smell that stuff anymore. And that's how being in the garage with the door open and everything. It's just really, really toxic smelling. So, not going back to those. Speaking of hordes of things, I guess what I'm literally just finishing up the basing on Occultist Army for. Hordes of things, maybe? I have the rules here. Played them probably 4 times at shows. I'm just not much of a fantasy person. I can't be into everything. I mean, I can't get this stuff off the ground if I'm still doing 15mm historicals, so I had to stop doing them just to be able to get my WW2 stuff out. This stuff takes time for me to do it, and I have a fair amount of time to do it. You guys help me through it just by tuning in. It keeps me on track, but still, it takes a long time to do this stuff. And just to be pulled in different directions where you don't get anything to show, anything accomplished is not my idea of a good time. It makes me frustrating. Makes me frustrated. Yeah. Except that guy might have actually had something on the ground that resembled maybe bricks. Well, we're not going to be painting that because now it's covered in this fluff. And I don't want to repaint this whole figure. They look fine. Man, but this MP40 is about to bite it. Let's see. How can I make that better? Let's make an attempt. I don't know if this will prolong the life a little bit. I know I'll have to paint that one little spot, but sometimes when you buy these figures, they come in a bag that's been tossed around, and in its travels, the weak points have flexed, and you just don't know what's going to happen. All right, we'll leave him be. It's a shame because this is a really nice figure, and the folds came out really nice on him. So I'm really happy with him. I would hate for him to go kaput. All right, man, I'm missing. You guys are going, man. I like it. I like this. You were in an art shop recently, saw some woodland scenic trees. Goodness, they're quite expensive now. They are. They're very expensive. You started using enamels on Airfix aircraft in the late 60s. Didn't start using acrylics until 81. Wow, that's pretty early. Speaking of hordes, I'm gluing together 124, good lord, Vikings before the next 210 arrive soon. Videos are great company while I paint. Well, thank you very much. I much appreciate it. I really do this for me. I hate to sound egotistical, but I do it so that I can't get an idea in my head and then I go into the hole that's called the internet. And next thing you know, the next 45 minutes, I'm going down rabbit holes and I don't get my painting done. This forces me to stay on here a certain amount of time so I don't leave you guys hanging. As a matter of fact, yesterday, when I had to leave, in the morning, I didn't want to leave. We had a good thing going and we had our juices flowing and I enjoy that. And part of it is because other than you guys, I don't have anybody to talk about this stuff with. I don't talk about with my coworkers, the people that I game with. Mitch isn't interested. He's not a painter, you know. And I only see him once a week anyways. But none of those people really, you know. I can talk about it some with Joe, Randy. Randy's an ex-modeler. He likes to. And, I don't have much of a social out with the stuff that I'm really interested in, which is this. Let's put this stuff back in and see if we can bring it back to life. I think there's a way to revive this, but this is my second tub of this Vallejo ground texture using it. This is a replacement for the Liquitex stuff that I used to use, but they don't make anymore. And this is, I watched a guy that did a really detailed video on comparing the Vallejo texture paste and the Liquitex texture paste. And I was really happy with the one I was using. And he compared and he said, these two are the closest. This one and the one I was using. And they still made this. So I wanted to, I went with this one. And I actually like this better than the stuff I was using before, because the grit's a little bit more pronounced. You can see it a little bit better. This has more of a smell and than any of the paints that I use. Group painting just works. You have what most streamers of any strive for, a good community around your channel. Well, good. I don't know, maybe it's because we talk about everything, you know? I mean, if you see me do something and you like it, you know, you can always ask what I'm doing. I don't want to keep any secrets. I just, you know, what am I going to do? Take them to the grave? You know? And I just kind of decided, I started watching some stuff on YouTube several years ago, and I'm like, I need some company to paint. And I've had some ideas that work over years. I've got some knowledge I don't mind sharing, and it's a way of giving back to all of the ideas that I've gotten off YouTube. And I've gotten a lot of ideas off YouTube. Some good and some bad. Like, I'm not going to do that, you know? You know, I don't have to go on somebody's channel and be negative like, that's stupid. Why are you doing it that way? If I don't like something, I goes the other way. The only time I get really nasty is if you come over to my house and start, you know, I don't like what you've done with the furniture, or, you know, or whatever. It's like, go away, you know? There's enough negativity on it. But it's just my way of, you know, we all have our specializations, skills that we've developed over time. And if it keeps somebody from getting into a rut about working on stuff, like I'm going to say 50 vehicles that I hadn't touched in 20 years because I would encounter a problem. Okay, a problem could be like I was building a German half-track and the sprocket wheel on it broke off. Because there's a lot of tension that you put on when you put on those rubber band tracks. Sometimes they're really tight. So I had tension. I'm like, I don't know how to fix this. So, you know, I waited 20 years. Now that I've got drills and pieces of metal and just an attitude of you're not stopping me, and epoxies and stuff that I'm really comfortable with, and was able to push through all that stuff. And I like sharing those kind of things so that somebody doesn't waste another 20 years not finishing the stuff that they bought. Because there's nothing worse than buying things and not doing anything with them. You know, I don't think this is an expensive hobby. If you just use the stuff you bought, you know, and we've all bought things that we don't use, and I think it's really unfulfilling. You know, at the rate that I'm painting, I can pretty much afford to buy anything because it takes me so long to finish it that, you know, it's not really that expensive when you look at it. You know, taking several hours to paint each individual figure, they're damn near free compared to the time that you're putting into them. So maybe there's some kind of camaraderie or you know, maybe we talk about movies a lot, different stuff, you know, and just something to pass the time. Like I used to listen to talk radio a lot, but I don't care about politics, and I don't care. I care even less about sports. I don't know, equally. I probably equally about sports. Same thing. There's maniacs that don't see any reasoning in both things. So there's not really any talk radio I want to listen to. And the talk radio part of it, what makes it interesting is that you never know what's coming next. You know, it's unpredictable. And this just kind of takes the place of that, I guess. Heading off for a bit. Okay, man. TTYL. Ta-ta. For now, I don't know. Oh, ta-ta. Now you mention it, I just wanted to tell you that I hate what you've done with the furniture. Exactly. Well, you know what I mean. I mean, especially Facebook. Especially Facebook. People think Facebook is terrible. Facebook is the best. I don't know if you're a Facebooker or not. I think as Facebook, even more than YouTube, is the best thing that's happened for our hobby. Because it allows you to share pictures. You take a picture and you get immediate gratification of just like, hey, here's what I did, and then maybe somebody will say something nice, and you keep each other's juices going. Now, if you go on there and say that's stupid, like there's lots of things that other people do that I don't like how they look. I don't feel like I have to comment on them. Okay, that's just me. I don't need to take the wind out of somebody's sails. You know, maybe they're happy with it. Maybe they're new to it and they're improving. There's lots of things I see that I just think are amazing, and they don't make me hate my stuff. They make me just go like, all right, you're gonna be like that, then we're gonna kick this to the next level, you know. And that's just the attitude that I have. But I don't like putting negativity in our creative stuff. Yeah, I can be negative about a lot of stuff, but not people's creations, because this is, I don't know how you guys deal with this, but this is my therapy. And I don't mean to sound that, you know, I don't mean to sound like a crazy person that's going to go on a killing spree if they don't get to paint, but it would be closer to that. But this is, you know, this is a creative outlet that that some of us really enjoy. This is mental exercise. So here is Bloom, and we need to grab and put the rocks on him before he gets a little too solidifies a little too much. See, I'm pretty intolerant of people being nasty to each other about their creative things, you know? Especially when I just assume people are doing the best they can do and they're improved. They'll see other things and go, oh, okay. How'd you do that? Share it. Why are you going to keep like secrets to yourself? Are you going to make like a book on how to paint miniature figures and you think you're going to get rich or whatever? No, just share information with each other. Just like you've asked people and they've given you information. When you start getting better at something and people ask you, let people know. Help them along. Coach them through. Okay, there's Bloom, the radio operator, with an MP40. He's probably got a pistol too. Maybe not. First acrylics you bought were artist acrylics. Talk to you later. Okay, good. I didn't know that one. I knew it wasn't go have your way with your own mother. I knew it wasn't something rude, so we're good. First acrylics I bought were artist acrylics before they were specific paints for War Games figures. Can't remember exactly when Games Workshop started their own acrylic range, but it was in the early 80s. Wow, they've been around that long, huh? Well, I was a big fan of them. I still have a couple of the original ones. Let's see. I even have the Shadow Gray unopened. So every time I open these, I say something cute like, smells like Thatcher or something like that. Because it's been around that freaking long. Oh, man. I was a fan of those. I was a fan of those containers, except for the little nibs that would break off. Other than that, they were solid. And then the intermediate ones were horrible. Horrible. There was a plastic container, a hard plastic container with a hard plastic lid where you wouldn't get a good seal. And I've literally bought a color like gold or something, used it one time, put it away. Next time I opened it, not usable. And I mentioned that on some painting site. Oh, you're Games Workshop bashing. I will bash anybody who makes a shitty product. And it's even worse when they knew better. They made like the best product in the industry, in my opinion. And then they're like, how can we make this shittier? You know? And they just, like, I don't know that it was intentional, but it sucked. The Games Workshop stuff now, I'm perfectly fine with. I like this stuff. I like these containers. They're not perfect, but the paint is equivalent to what it used to be before. You know? The only thing I don't like about it is this whole layer shade crap. I just ignore that and just, you know, I get the color because I'm not following their 3-step recovery program or what have you. Somebody will pay daft money for that unopened Shadow Gray. You mean if it was for sale? The funny thing is I got most of the container of another Shadow Gray that is opened. It's not really a color I use much. I honestly don't know how I got it, but not everything's for sale, folks. When I stopped doing in October, when I said I'm not playing DBA anymore, several people responded with, "Oh, I'll buy your figures." What makes you think they're for sale? What makes you think that I'm not going to use my figures for something else? You know? Now, I've painted some things for folks, but they didn't ask me to paint them. And I didn't charge for them. So they're just generosity things. And there's not very many of them because, you know, my time is valuable. I only have a certain amount of it left, you know. The Bolter shell pots with the screw lid weren't my favorite. The new ones are a little prone to clogging. I wish they switched to dropper bottles. Yeah, their paint is different. It's definitely different than Vallejo. I think the AK paints are the bomb if you're going to airbrush. They're the freaking bomb for airbrushing. Well, they do have one. Every paint is going to have a problem. Vallejo is great, but sometimes you get one that's a little too watery, or some of them that has just like chunks that are sitting in it. And I think it's ones that I got that were old. They're weird, unusual colors, and I think they were sitting on the shelf too long. And I've tried mixing balls, multiple mixing balls, and it's not a big problem because I paint pretty thinned. I thin almost everything that I do for flow, really, so it can apply smoothly. And it's not that big of a problem, but every paint has problems. The AK paints are awesome for airbrushing. You don't have to thin them, or I don't have to thin them. But when you shake them, you put the lid on and you shake them, the seal around the the top here, the distance between here, oh, I'm in my own way, literally. Oh, I went the wrong way, of course. The distance between here and the inside of the plastic is just enough that you pull this thing off and the entire inside of the thing is completely covered in very watery paint that's easy to get on you or worse. That's the only problem that I have with AK, and it's a little too thin to... No, let me show you one. Is Dunkelgelb up here? If Dunkelgelb is up here, I'll show you that. Yeah, here it is. Here's Dunkelgelb. And I've cleaned the inside of this several times. If you look at it, yeah, it looks like it just got cleaned. This entire thing gets saturated when you do this. So that's the only downfall to these things. And I got the whole Vallejo liner used to, so I'm just supplementing with these. But airbrushing, definitely a fan of the AKs because I don't have to thin them at all. So it just saves me time. The Games Workshop ones and the coated arms, they break. Like this one actually, the back of this is coated arms field drab. The back of this broke here. The nib broke up here on the front, so I usually have to pull this apart with, say, my teeth. But the paint inside, this is a semi flexible container and a very flexible lid. You just get a good air seal on it. And this paint is, I don't know what it is, but it is the best paint out there for painting, in my opinion. It almost has a little bit, it's almost a little oily in the way it applies. It's like butter. It's amazing. It's really, really amazing. The bad thing is I can't go to a store and physically buy more of it. I have to mail order it, and I'm not keen to get new colors mail ordering instead of being able to pick it up and go, okay, this is like this. So I don't see that the range of paints that I have in that line really expanding just because of availability, face-to-face availability. But they are my favorite paints, easily. You have a pot of 1980s woodland green, opened but hardly used, still usable. Yeah. You called those bolter shell pots. Those things, if that's what they are, they sucked. Man, they sucked. And I just have a problem when Games Workshop does things that seem anti-consumer friendly. Agrax Earthshade. They're now made in 18 mil pots. They used to be made in this size, which is what, 24 mil? Yeah, 24 mil. So they went smaller, and this is more expensive. I understand things being more expensive because, they pay people more now than they used to 10 years ago and everything else. And it's just exponential. But I just don't understand them reducing the size of the thing. And it's not like, well, we're going to make the size smaller, but we're going to keep it the same price. I just keep this size. This is a great size. Or maybe people don't like it because they were knocking it on its side. I don't really know what the reasoning is behind it, but when you do things that are, in my opinion, are anti-consumer friendly, I want to call you out on it. I don't need to start a crusade, and we don't even burn people at the stake. But I don't want to be. I'm not interested in being monetized by companies, and then I can't say anything bad about them. That's just. I think that's dishonest. But that's just me. Other people can do it. I wouldn't make a very good lawyer. Sorry, dude. I think you really did molest the children, so I'm not going to represent you. To use an extreme example. But it just seems like the last 5 years, the consumers been getting bent, and we're all consumers. I don't care. Well, I work for the company that makes the paint. That's nice. But when you leave there, we're all consumers. It's like say, oh, we'll just tax the businesses. Now, businesses don't pay taxes. They pass it on to the consumer. I mean, they do, but they don't. No burning people at the stake? Then why am I even here? Yeah, I know. With a comment like that, you're in the right place. The new Agrax formula is a mess. Someone was raging at the Sonic Sledgehammer. Okay, so he has a really good site, and actually he gets the credit for having me try it even in the first place. He did a video on how to paint Sherman tanks, and using Agrax came directly from him, so he gets the credit for that. And then I, of course, modified my method a little bit around what he decided to do. I think he's the Agrax Earthshade guy, or he might have been the guy that said, hey, add sand to the green to dry brush. Maybe he's both. Anyways, he's got some good content. Because they followed this tutorial from years ago and ruined a figure because the new Agrax behaves so differently. Wow. Yeah, it's stickier, isn't it? It's definitely stickier. So here's what I tried. I got this last week. I haven't tried it yet. Some people say that strong tone is equivalent to the Agrax. So the next thing I'm going to Agrax, I'm going to use this stuff. And look, it's made in Spain, so all of my paints will now be made in the motherland. I don't know if it's any good. I am really not a fan of Army Painter. Sorry, their paint just behaves weird. There was another paint that I had that also behaved in a similar way. And I don't think it was Reaper, but it came in I had a couple of tubs of it. And I can't think of who it was. It might have been a Raw Partha something or another, but it behaved similar to the way Army Painter paint behaves when you thin it down. It kind of is not gritty, but it just behaves just like the way Coat d'Arms is just almost lubricated. The way it goes on, it's kind of the opposite of that. And it's certainly usable. I've got, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 pots of the Army Painter stuff. And they work okay. They're just not I'm not just jumping to use it, you know. New formulation should generally carry a new name or something denoting the change. I absolutely agree with you, Ben. Speaking of which, I heard the game color range was redone and they are now really good. The game color range by who? By Army Painter? Let me know. I know a place that has them. I'll go buy one and we'll do a live test. You know, I don't mind buying more paint. It lasts forever. I mean, I have all these Vallejo paints, and the only reason I had them is around 2004, I sold all of my 2400 scale ships, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to pocket the money. What am I going to do? At that point, I was ordering a lot of stuff from Brookhurst Hobbies. They carried all the Vallejo colors. I basically ordered them all. So I think of them, they didn't cost me anything because I already had that money in the hobby. That's the only reason I got them. As when I found out about them, I'm like, oh, they got eyedroppers? Cool. That should make it easier. I don't need half the colors I have, but that's why I even have them. It's not like I wanted to dump a ton of money in it. No, it was just an opportunity to do that. And some of these colors that I either have never used or I've had for 20 years are still fine. You know, they'll probably be fine for another 20 years. As a Dane, I feel like I have to defend Army Painter. But you're absolutely right. They behave weirdly. At least their ordinary paints, the speed paints, are surprisingly consistent. You need to defend Lego. I see what you're saying. I disagree. Like, I'm a proud American. I'm not defending any American vehicles, okay? Not a fan here, okay? So, yeah. I know what you're saying. Vallejo game color. Okay. They're not as thin. I heard they used to be really, really thin. I'll pick some up. The store has them. The store with the extra weird people in it. I go in there and I don't look around. There's some strange folks. I don't mean nerdy people. I'm talking about people that don't know how to behave in public with social norms. But they do have a lot of paints there, and I think they're $3.99 each, so they're reasonably priced. I would rather go to a store than order it online. Yeah, and I also don't go after people like, I can't believe you went to such and such a store and bought that there. You need to do something like let people go wherever the hell they want. I don't go to Walmart, but if you want to go to Walmart, go right ahead. You know, I'm a big fan of Amazon. If you can't find something, Amazon. You don't burn the fuel, the time, and they bring it to your door, and the person's happy to deliver it to you generally. And you get it like the next day. I would rather go to a store and get it, but if the store doesn't have it, and they won't even let you order things, what are you supposed to do? And Amazon is, I feel like you have a lot of power as the consumer of returning something if it isn't right. It is just super easy. You did Finley go, well, they should just go into the landmine industry instead. I saw what you did there. Yeah, they don't even have to change your product the slightest. Oh, I had Legos as a kid, and of course they didn't have all the cool stuff that they have now. You had to. I think the only figures they had is they had like the standard policemen. They had the astronauts that came in. There was blue, yellow, red, white. That was it. And their faces were all the same. They were always smiling. They were happy to be shot up in space. And that was it. The rest of it, you just kind of had to invent on your own. I never use Army Painter's. I use Army Painter's Strong Tone. I've never used Agrax because I've been boycotting Games Workshop for more than 30 years, and the names of Games Workshop paints are really stupid. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. If you buy any, Tony, they're the new Vallejo eco-friendly bottles. Oh, what's so eco-friendly about them? None of us should be throwing on this stuff in a landfill, but, how much pain are you going through to ruin the world? Why are you boycotting Games Workshop? And I'm not disagreeing with you. People have their reasons for using things and not using something else. We all boycott stuff, whether we realize it or not, by just going to different places. Or I'm never going to go to, I don't go to Walmart. People want to go to Walmart, that's fine. I don't go to Walmart because it is it's a horrible experience. Forget the company and where their heart is and whatever, okay? I'm just the people that are there are just I don't want to interact with those kind of folks. I just don't want to interact with those folks. They're having a bad day and I don't like being around those people. I have those kind of problems when I'm at work. I don't want to bring that into my non-work life. But I'm actually should support Walmart because I don't want those people to go to the stores that I do go to and turn them into Walmart. You get your vehicle hit by a shopping cart anyways. See, this takes a lot longer than it should, but I'm being careful. I'm having a good time here, and it'll get done when it gets done. And I guess I'm a Nazi for painting Germans. That's the problem with it. The internet is great for a hobby, But it's really bad to realize that there's some really deranged people out there. And they live everywhere. It's not like you can just go, well, I'm not going to go to Italy because the people there are crazy. No, they're everywhere. You got to pay Nazis because that way you don't feel bad about killing them. Think about it. Remember that People of Walmart website? No, I don't. People tend to hate Amazon. I know where they're going, but I like the fact that one of the richest people on earth is essentially a bookstore owner. Tony Division Azul Aguilar. I have no interest in painting any of those guys, you know? Yeah, and if you're going to do Spanish Civil War, I haven't really read a book on it. They just are. I mean, just like the Eastern Front, they're just maybe. Yeah, there are no good guys in that. You know. You know, on one side you're like, well, you got to be sympathetic to. You know, the Germans were. You know, the Nazis were horrible people, but. And of course, you know, we're not talking. I'm sure there's some soldiers that they're just stuck in a bad thing and they just kind of did the best of it, but. The Soviets made a freaking deal with them, and they backstabbed people in the back. And I remember my dad; he was like, he's old enough to have been in the Second World War. He just wasn't born in the right country that was involved in it. And he's like, I don't understand why the West made a deal with the Russians. I don't either. And now, don't get me wrong. I'm glad the Germans didn't win. Okay, but anyhow. That is one of the reasons I like the Eastern Front. Is like, which bad guy do you want to be? You know? And it just dwarfs everything else. Life's too short to list all the things I hate about Games Workshop. Okay. Well, the only real gripe, my biggest gripe with them is that they don't inspire people to follow. They don't inspire me to follow them into things that they do, because after a few years, they leave you hanging. Only thing I really know of the Division Azul is that they co-opted the Katusha song. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm going to look that up later. They fought in the Leningrad sector, but I don't know anything about that. And they had some Stugs. But it's just German troops with the Spanish tricolor on. Actually, would it be It is three bands, but they're only two colors. So, anyways, the little Spanish flag on their thing. Same thing. I wouldn't do fins. Like, why bother doing fins? It's just Germans with less skulls and shit on their helmets, you know? Nazis and Soviets, different sides of the same coin. Or is it the same side of two different coins? Either way, I agree with you. I agree with you. And that's the problem that I have, the people that go on these tirades about Nazi this and Nazi that. Look, they were horrible people. There's no doubt about it. And that's probably one of the reasons I don't do SS, is because, I can kind of realize that maybe this guy wasn't a horrible person, okay? He just got drafted or whatever. He was just asked to do horrible things, maybe. But if you're in the SS, you're not a good human being. I'm sorry. So, yeah. A lot of those things, dictatorships are really weird to understand for rational people because they're inherently irrational, the stuff that they do. They make decisions that don't make sense to you, that you would never do. I remember reading about the Eastern Front when I was a kid. And, you're always trying to, if you're a war gamer, you're like, okay, how could these guys have won? Regardless of ideology, if you want the Germans to win the Second World War, there's something wrong with you. But as a challenge for like, hey, how could I make this happen? That's fair. But, it's all good that it didn't end the other way. Very few people would have benefited from that. Let's put it that way. And lots of people would have been really bad. Would have been really even worse for them. But that is one of the things as war gamers is we tend to favor to play the side that didn't win to see if you could do better. I don't know. Maybe that's just human nature. But I remember reading about the Eastern Front as a kid when I started wargaming. I'm like, the Germans could have won if they just walked into Ukraine and just shown up as liberators. But that wasn't the whole reason. That was against what they were trying to do. They weren't liberating anybody. They wanted to exterminate the people that were there. So that's not rational. That kind of mentality just doesn't make sense. They're just killing another race. And the rest of us on the outside are going, there's still white people and they look the same. As a matter of fact, most Russians are more blonde-haired and blue-eyed than most Germans. So I'm like, what are you doing? What kind of messed up mentality? Not that that would even make it right. I'm just saying that you're not looking at things from the outlook of somebody who's not sane. Not to defend the SS, but that really depends on what type of SS soldier you are. Foreigners who wanted to join the German army to fight the Soviets, like many Estonians, had to join the SS. Okay, I'll give you that one. There might have even been some SS guys with your surname that might have been okay. But, just generally, I don't know. I can play him. I'll play anything in the game, but I just don't. Well, I didn't paint him in the past. And I didn't paint him in the past because their camouflage scheme was too good. Well, I didn't finish painting one because I did start one guy. Although he looks like crap. But this was many, many years ago. So, anyhow, not a big fan of them. I got some NKVD guys that look pretty cool once I get them painted, but you're not looking at war from a rational standpoint because it's totally irrational. Thankfully, none of us think that way, It's a war of extermination. I remember some things that just don't make any sense. Like, why would you take your own citizens and ship them away somewhere to be gassed? Like, if you don't, let's say you don't like a portion of the population for whatever stupid reason that you don't like them because you're some kind of a racist. Send them to the Eastern Front. Arm them and send them to the Eastern Front. Have them kill communists. But just exterminating and using your own resources just to kill your own people just doesn't make any sense to anybody that's rational. And then you get some people like, oh, you just play war games because you're a warmonger. No, I'm a devout pacifist every day. That's like saying people that watch horror movies like seeing innocent girls slashed. Well, I don't know. I think playing war games is a lot more sane than watching horror movies. I think horror movies just... I don't like seeing people that didn't deserve stuff happen to them just get killed just because they're cute. I just have a problem with that. I don't watch that stuff. It makes me sad. I prefer revenge movies. Like, you had it coming. You shouldn't have been such a dick. You know, that's what you get. Let's see if we can get some. Let's get the brush and see if we can get something behind the figure, and then we're about done with this guy. So I have no problem playing Soviets, painting Soviets. I actually like painting Soviets, you know, because they're an army that people think, they're boring. You don't have to be. You don't have to not give them a personality. But I won't do Polish Legion. I won't do, people that are co-opted into being liberated, and then the Stalinists just I don't like that. It bothers me. I don't mind painting Poles, but if I did Poles, it'd be 39 Poles. I wouldn't do 44 Poles only because they basically they have the same kit as the Brits, and there's really no difference to them. Really. Painting wise. Sisu is a revenge film right up your street. All the right people get offed. Okay, but is Sisu basically a Finland in 44 when they changed sides and now they're fighting the Germans? And if they are, that's why I don't want to play it. It's like, it just, you need to make 3 or 4 films about how they were killing Russians before they were on the Russian side trying to kill Germans. I'm just saying, just to be fair proportionally. That's what I think I saw from the preview, which I think I may have seen one time. The other swastika people. I'm on a tear. Let's do 3 more. I mean, I gotta do all these guys before they show up on the tabletop. We got Keller. And I'm trying to get guys that have the good naming. Good naming meaning the ones I did later. So if you look at the different fonts here, look at Brandt. Brandt is basically Arial narrow. It looks a little bit better than just standard Arial. So I'm going to relabel all the standard Arial ones. They're the ones I did first, many moons ago. Oh, the sniper, Langeman. Wait, he's got the earlier one. Damn him. Oh, we got to do Engelman. He's the assistant to machine gunner. Yeah, groups of 3s work pretty well. Sisu sounds like something you call somebody. You stupid Sisu. Mommy, that guy called me a Sisu. Shouldn't be such a Sisu. Speaking of Estonians in the SS, that 1944 movie is actually pretty decent. Despite this silly title that's vague as hell. I thought that one was pretty. One of the better movies out there that are relatively modern, in my opinion. He'd already killed 300 Soviets before he started on the SS. Possible prequel opportunity. Okay, maybe I'll watch it if I see it. It's got to be better than. It's not one of those Russian movies, is it? The Russian movies are like, oh, everything was great until the Germans came. And there's no doubt the Germans, caused all kinds of problems that they, you know, that they shouldn't have. But the Soviet state was bad for everybody too. You know, I've said it before. If you have to be drafted in either the German army on the Eastern Front or the Soviet army, I think that as an individual, conditions, you're better off in the German army because I don't think that as I think the Soviets just didn't give a shit about their own people to a much higher level than the Germans did. And Germans did some horrible stuff, but oh man, really it ended up over there. Hopefully it's not face down. It is, but this stuff's super tacky. Okay. Guy's got a rifle grenade. Was sent to Eastern Estonia in 2015 by World War II magazine to visit the battlefield, showing the opening of the 1944 movie. The movie was running in cinemas at the time, so saw it in cinema. Basically, John Wick in Finland, 1944. I don't know who the main actor is, but I bet he has more charisma than Keanu Reeves. Just saying. And I understand Keanu Reeves is supposed to be a really good human being in real life, but he's not a charismatic actor. Sorry. I don't know if I've seen the third Wick movie. I don't remember if I have. The first one's great, other than his acting. Sorry, but yeah, really, they didn't do they should have done. Finland in '39, and everybody can get behind them. You can make a one-sided movie and it'd be kind of realistic. Most people watching a movie like that in the States and even in the UK probably because people are ignorant everywhere. Be like, where's Finland again? I didn't know they were in World War II. Those kind of questions. All I remember about the preview is he's using some kind of a shovel on somebody's head or a knife or something. Bring a knife to him. Did they kill his dog? That's one of the things of all of the abusive, demented, deranged stuff that Hollywood does. They have a hard time showing like animals being killed, and I'm not saying I'm in favor of it, but they do some demented stuff, and I'm a human supremacist. I don't want to hurt animals, but people's lives are worth more. Sorry, well, some people's lives are probably not as worth as much as say certain dogs. I get that. But just as a general rule, but they have a hard time showing stuff like that happen in animals. I didn't grow up with animals, so I'm not overly sympathetic of that. Not that I really mean any harm to them. That's one of the things that they should say that defines you if you're a psycho, is you end up doing things to animals that you know it's kind of a precursor. You doing them to people, but I didn't grow up with any animals, so hence the quiet. There's no barking and cats knocking. I see people in their posts like, my cat showed up on my war games table, knocked a bunch of stuff down. I said, that wouldn't happen here. That happened one time, and the next thing you know is you wouldn't be here anymore. But there's a movie that I saw, and I want to say I didn't see the movie. I started watching, called 22 Bullets, and it has Jean Reno in it. He plays basically like a mob guy, which I didn't know there were any French mobsters, but I'm just ignorant. I just assume that all mobsters are either Italian or Russian, where they're everywhere in the world. But anyway, so he plays a mobster who's trying to get out of it, and the powers that be did not like that, so they order a hit on him, and if I screw up the details, I'm sorry. I saw it probably 10 years ago, but it really struck me as kind of being something unusual that you never see. There's the hitmen come in and they find him and his car in a parking garage and gun him down and leave him for dead. Obviously, he does not die, or it would have been a very short movie. But in the dog next door, it was like a Volvo station wagon or something like that. There's one of them yappy little dogs that was just having a fit inside the car, and the guys that gunned down Jean Reno just open up on the back of the thing and kill the dog. Obviously they do not actually kill a live dog, but just the idea of showing that in context is just something that I'm pretty sure it was a foreign movie that Hollywood just would not have the guts to do. They would show children being molested, but they can't have a dog virtually killed. So it was like shocking when you see something like that. It's like, wow, they actually allowed something like that to happen. So I don't know how the rest of the movie is. I never watched it. I just got distracted. I probably should go back and watch. I don't know. I think it's a revenge movie. I like Jean Reno, so probably should try watching it. But that was like in the first 5 minutes of the movie, maybe even the first 3 minutes of the movie. So yappy little dog. Yeah, I didn't grow up with any dogs. I don't mind dogs as long as they understand that they're the dog. They're not trying to run things. And as long as they're not... I had a friend of mine many years ago that I used to game with. And one of the main reasons I stopped going over to his house is he had a very large dog that always wanted to jump on you every time you saw him, which was okay, except I don't really interact with the animal. And he's like all over me. And had these nails that literally would destroy your clothes. And so after he calmed down, if you ever had to go to the bathroom and got up again, he would get like all worked up again. Every single time, it was like, I can't deal with this anymore, And it's just like, dude, why are you so excited about it? I mean, I know it's me, and I'm an exciting guy, but why are you excited about me when I don't really pay you any attention to get you riled? I don't rile you up. Maybe that was me riling it up by not riling him up. I don't know. But generally, actually, when I've encountered dogs recently, they're kind of just chill, As a matter of fact, most of them don't even want to smell you. But if they do, they take a sniff, like, oh, okay, that's who you are. Okay, cool. I don't necessarily mind them. I just don't really want to take care of them. They don't really do anything for me. I don't need to see him killed in a movie, but it was just kind of strange to see that. Something that they just wouldn't be able to do now. I finally got around to seeing with my daughter Jojo Rabbit or whatever, and everybody I had talked to had really good impressions. I didn't like the film at all. There wasn't what's his name, the guy that played Wakiti. No, that guy that played Wakiti. No, Wakiti that played. I think that's how you say his name. That played Hitler was pretty funny in a couple different scenes, but as a whole, it's like kind of a waste. And I knew it was a semi comedy or something like that. I just didn't think it was. And my daughter was had the same mind. You know, when you're watching something with somebody else and you're like not really keen on it, and they aren't either, it's like just better to go to something else. Wakiti? I don't know. Did anybody complain because he was Taika Waititi? What? I think there's a Wakiti in there. Anyways, whatever his name is. Was anybody complaining that he was playing a white person? Who cares? I thought he was pretty funny in that role. As, you know, imaginary Hitler. Hitler, my invisible friend, or whatever the hell it was. Okay. Goop time. Taika Waititi. Okay. Yeah, when you're watching something with somebody, you're like, hey, let's watch this together. And they're not really interested in it, and you're not either. It's like, it's better to move on to something else. Same thing happened with Fury. I saw Fury in the movie theater and thought it was pretty good, except for the end battle scene with they were crawling with Germans, and not a single one of them had a Panzerfaust. That's all I remember about it. So I'm like, let me watch it again now that my daughter's old enough to see it, and she's pretty happy. She can handle watching war movies. My wife can't, but my daughter is, you know, can handle watching war movies. And like maybe a third of the movie, and I'm like, this is terrible. I do not like this movie. I mean, the tank parts were great, you know, and how they detail all the stuff on it. That part was interesting, but just the characters, like, I don't care about any of these folks on, you know, on any side. Like, so we just stopped watching it, and I've seen it before, and I'm like, I'm not a big movie person. No, movie's just one of those things that, you know, most people are interested, so it gives you something to talk about. But most of the stuff out there is just not very good. I expect better of them, let's put it that way. So, I like watching things on the television because you didn't like throw a bunch of money down the drain and go through a lot of trouble and, you know, so forth. I honestly don't know how movie theaters are still around, but There's just not a whole lot of things worth watching, in my opinion. And God forbid you watch a preview if you've seen all the parts of the movie that are worth seeing. What time is it? 8? Yeah, we got about at least an hour before the transom light comes in here and ruins everything. I can't paint with that on here. This is Engelmann. I honestly think I'm going to repaint the brass they have from the ammo belt. It's a little too coppery for me, but I can do that at a later time. It's not brassish enough. It's a little too coppery. Easy fix. But I like that 1944 movie. It was actually recommended by... honestly, I didn't watch it because of the title. That's why I had avoided it. And I like how they switched viewpoints in it. I like the shelling by the Prinz Eugen. I paused it. I'm like, yeah, they did a really good job with that. Yep. Nothing like being shelled by 203 millimeter guns. Oops. The other one that I enjoyed that's a modern movie that was recommended by, I think Nordic was the one that recommended that, was The Forgotten Battle. I thought that was pretty good. And then Generation War. I really like Generation War. And that's the best 3 that I have seen recently that are recent movies that I hope they make more things that are good. We never did watch a second episode of Rogue Heroes. My daughter just didn't enjoy it enough, and I didn't either, to give it more than just the first episode. And that's just the problem. There's just too many things to watch. There's limited time to watch things. And I would rather do this, interact with you guys, than sit there and watch in front of a television and potentially waste my time for a couple hours on something that's not great. I'd rather be doing this. This will turn out well, and we'll have a good time along the way. I tried to find the remake or the relaunch of Das Boot, and I don't think it was available in our region. That's the next thing I was going to watch. And I heard some mixed things about it, but I've seen the first one twice. Not a long time, but not available in our area. So this is a long weekend for those of us in the United States that have normal jobs, i.e. not Mitch. A 3-day weekend for us. So we'll be on tomorrow morning as well. Although probably won't have as many viewers because it's just a regular day for you folks in the across the pond, I would imagine. Yeah, not playing until the very last moment on the very last day of a long holiday, and it's just kind of annoying for me. So I will not stay late because it just sets my entire week, which is going to be crazy at work, off to a bad start of not getting enough sleep. But I got this long weekend. We could play a game anytime, and I got a game at the 11th hour on the last day off. It's just kind of annoying to. It's annoying to have people in your game group that have like a polar opposite schedule that you do. Bank holiday here tomorrow. Oh, there you go. Well, bank holiday to me means, I don't know what bank holiday. I hear bank holiday. Oh, Dave, banks are closed. Well, they're hardly open at all, anyways. Monday's a public holiday in the UK as well. There you go. Excellent. I'll see you guys in the morning then. But the reality is I don't need a game as often as I need to do this. This is the therapeutic part. I don't mind going there and just hanging out. I don't need to play games. But gaming at the last minute on my last day off just kind of annoying. So we've got kind of this on game night. We've got kind of this split that's happening. He's got the whole day off. That's literally his Monday is like his Saturday, and in the mornings, he gets all the retirees that go to him, which there's a fair number of them now. Now we got like 3 or 4 people in rotation. They play all day on Monday, and Monday is my probably busiest day at work, i.e., hardest day to get off at. Stressing about getting off at a certain time. So I don't feel bad about not going because he's got other people that can show up in the evening, and or he's been gaming all day, so it's your 3rd long weekend this month. Wow. You guys getting a lot of days off, you're going to turn into the French. There's the thing that they were like complaining about several years ago. I don't know if it's still a thing about working. They wanted to go to a 35-hour work week. Man, I'd love it, but it's not how many hours you work. It's how much time you have left in your day or how much time you have to yourself before you've got to go back to work. Like, I think you can work a 15-hour day and it's not the end of the world. But if it comes out of the time that you got to go back to work, that's not cool. You need to have at least, God, people have to have a minimum of 12 hours off. Maybe even more than that. 16, that should really be the rule, So, if you stay late one day, that's cool. It means you come in late the next one. Not like comes in at the same time. That's just reasonable. Just being a reasonable human being so we don't go crazy. Like there's some places, I'm not going to name which places they are, they get this idea of like, oh, just go ahead and leave on time today, but come in tomorrow on a weekend for like 4 hours. Like you just ruined somebody's weekend. Now they can't go anywhere, The first and last Mondays in May are always public holidays, and this year we got an extra one for the coronation. Well, depending on how you look at it, you might want to have the same thing happen next year. I didn't watch any of that stuff. I like how they made such a big deal out of, oh, he was trying to be, what's the terminology? He's trying to be, not the word I'm thinking of, but he's trying to be good for the environment by not making another robe, cape, whatever. Sustainable. Okay, he wanted to be sustainable by not having another cape robe made. I forget what it was, but he has no problem with the millions that he gets paid a year. Yeah, but that's how politicians are everywhere, isn't it? You know, talking out of both sides of their mouth. Yeah, I'm not a fan of royalty of any kind. I think people should be defined by merit, not by their lot in life. Only decent part was Penny. Penny with her double-handed sword. I'm going to have to look that up. That doesn't make any sense of it. None of it makes any sense. Penny double-handed sword. Should I be able to do an internet search on that and come up with something? Penny sword. Yeah. I know people that would love to be royalty. I don't. I'm fine leaving people alone. You know, just I don't need to be famous. I just want to be me, you know. Just I was talking to went to a gathering yesterday. I was talking to a gentleman that was older than I was, and he's retired. And I was telling him about what my plans for retirement are. I said, "Yeah, I got to wait at least another 15 years." I said, "Oh my God, you got to wait until you're 67." I said, "Yeah." Well, I retired when I was 60. I said, "Well, you can't do that anymore." You know, Penny Mordaunt. I have no idea who the hell that is. Should I? I'm going to look her up. Penny. Sounds like a French lady. What's Penny short for? Penelope? Mordaunt. You know, I think of Penelope, you know what I think of? That Aurora class cruiser with a 6.6-inch guns. Because I'm a naval dude. Good ship Penelope. Shit, I better play that stuff. I better play that stuff soon. I'm gonna forget ship classes and the ships, and I'm trying to think, what's the third one? Crap. Man, I gotta study. I'm not gonna be able to pass my own quiz. Aurora, Penelope, and shit, what's the third one? I don't know. Those crappy light cruisers did some serious freaking damage to the Italian convoys. I had the Penelope. I think the Aurora is one of them. I don't know, man. I need to study up on that stuff, or I don't want to lose all this. Somebody's gonna tell me. I'll be like, yes, that's what it is. Force K. Yeah, they fought like a major naval battle with like freaking 2 destroyers and 2 crappy light cruisers and beat the crap out of the I-Ties. Love it. I love playing the British Navy in the Second World War. They're super cool. I remember one time me and a buddy of mine, we were playing the Second Battle of Sirte Gulf, which is really one-sided. But the Brits won in real life. or scare the Italians away, whatever. And we did the same thing in the battle. It was amazing. It was just complete luck. It's like torpedoed the Italian battleship. I don't remember if we sank it or not, but all right. I'm not gonna be able to sleep. That's all I can think about right now. All right. Yeah, those were terrible light cruisers, but they did okay in the war. Penelope light cruiser. Arethusa. Hey, Arethusa. Right? Yeah. I guess Penelope is one of the Greek sirens or one of those things. I think this the British World War II ship naming schemes for things. I really like that. I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I'm American. I'm just going to build American stuff. Nah, boring. HMS Pepper Pot. That's right. Yeah. Arethusa, and it's Aurora, I think. Why does it not say down here what they are? I should have just grabbed Conways, but I didn't want to like reach over. It says 4 were completed. Okay, what's the 4th one? Galatea. That's what it is. Arethusa, Galatea, Penelope, Aurora. Penelope was torpedoed in February of 44. Man, that's late. Aurora survived the war, was transferred to nationalist China as Chongqing, 1948. Defected, the whole ship defected, to communist China as Cheongqing in 49, Huanghe in 1951, Peiqing 1950. Boy, they just kept renaming it. Galatea was torpedoed in December 41. Arethusa survived the war, was scrapped in 1950. Yeah. Man, I gotta revisit that stuff again. I'm gonna forget all the information that I grew up with. Arethusa, Galatea, Aurora, and what was the 3rd one? Yeah, Penelope, yeah. I didn't realize it was 4. And I haven't looked at it in a long time. Yeah, it's basically the light cruiser equivalent of the Exeter class. Because the Exeter were 6 8-inch guns. Exeter and York. I never got a chance to converting my Exeter to York with the... Because I was gonna put the conning tower of like the Suffolk on the Exeter model and call her York with that crazy camouflage scheme that she used in the Mediterranean, like when she got sunk in Ceuta Bay. She had kind of like this really dark gray and really light gray zigzag kind of. It's unattractive, but you look at that and like, oh, that's the York, sure, that was my favorite theater for the naval operations of the Mediterranean. HMS Pepper Pot. You guys sent me down the rabbit hole. I should already have this. Penny Mordaunt. Who the hell is Penny Mordaunt? Is she really attractive? I hope so. Penny Mordaunt. I don't really want to be looking up women that aren't attractive. Sorry. Who is she? Member of Parliament. The real Penny Mordaunt, a workaholic with 4 cats and no social life. I wouldn't say she's unattractive. Was she doing some kind of a sword handoff or something like that? Not a fan of politicians, though. Sorry. I just don't trust them. Okay, this picture of her, she's pretty attractive. Okay. Definitely looks a lot better than... Is it weird for you guys to say the king? Has it just been... Has Lizzie just been on the throne just way too long? Just difficult for you guys to say, you know, long live the king and stuff like that. I mean, it's been... I think just about everybody that's alive now has always had the queen there. She certainly knows how to make a splash. Does she speak and receive pronunciation? I would think so. Depending on where she's from. Although I've said it before, I prefer American pronunciation. I am totally in favor of British spelling. Totally. Armor and color, especially armor, needs a U in it. I'm sorry, it does. I'm probably in the minority of everybody on this continent, but gray looks better with an E in it. Sorry, it just does. Well, I don't have to apologize, you guys. You agree with me. Probably not on the pronunciation part, but... Armor deserves a U in it. It just looks right. And I'll type it like that, and I'll be the spell corrector. That's wrong. No, it's not. And color looks better with a U in it as well. And I find myself even saying schedule. Damn contaminant people across the pond. You guys know I love you guys. Except for that driving on the wrong side of the road. I'm cool with everything else. I'm probably never going to get a chance to drive over there, so it's kind of irrelevant. We're talking to somebody we ran into a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about that they went to Scotland and Ireland, and they went on some kind of a whiskey tour. That sounds grand. Especially now that I can appreciate it. I didn't when I was younger. Because I don't cook, but I'm a fan of bartending, even though I rarely do. But now I'm like, I don't even bartend. I drink everything neat. It just, I can appreciate it more. And you just don't overdrink. If you make something taste too good, you have too many, and then you end up feeling like crap the next day. Like yesterday, I went a couple calories. I had tequila on the rocks. That's it. Nothing else in it. Feel fine. It's all the sugary additives crap that makes you feel like garbage. Or, you know, if you're drinking bad liquor, which I don't drink enough, so I can drink the good stuff. I drink very little, so. Had a few folks saying, God save our gracious Queen during the national anthem. Yeah. It's probably really difficult. I don't know that I've heard Charles speak. The Queen knew how to speak, man. I could understand everything that lady said. As I should. I mean, it's her language. Doesn't mumble, speaks clearly, speaks not too fast. There's um, there's a comedian that we like to watch from your neck of the woods, Jeffrey. I think it's from your neck of the woods. And my wife in particular and my daughter really like her. And her name is Sarah Milliken. But I need subtitles to listen to her. Just to kind of, but she's really, really funny. I think she's from your neck of the woods over there in the Northeast. But I put subtitles on everything because I just have trouble. I have trouble understanding just about everybody. It's getting worse, unfortunately. It got so bad yesterday, actually, that I actually looked into getting hearing aids, but I'm not getting the ones that have crap on the outside. I've just had it my whole life, you know. I don't want them things on the outside. I was like, what's wrong with his brain? Well, now that you mention it, my whole life since I was a little kid, one of the things they say, oh, you probably won't hear yourself the same. Well, I'm used to what I sound like on the video now. Keller. Oh. All right. He's done. What I'm doing right now is probably the thing that's the most, oh snap. He didn't get any rocks. Well, let's just give him one. Oh, well, let's try that again. And these literally are rocks. They're pieces of granite. You get one big one. All right. And this is Brant. $350 miles south. That's nowhere near you. Okay. I thought you were in the Northeast. Oh well. Oh no, you're in Scotland. Gotcha. I'd really need subtitles for you. Oh man. How about I watch everybody with subtitles? She has a pretty heavy accent, so I guess when you start getting in some certain areas, accents get pretty involved. Northeast Scotland. Okay, are you on the top tip or the other tip? God, I love maps. What I don't like is these pads. There we go. I haven't found one on a computer that's worth a damn. I'm a mouse fan. Let's go over here to old Blighty. See if we can do a flyover of that little island. Remember that island that's fought over by is it the Irish and the Iceland? That rock in the middle of nowhere? I should be going right over that. Nope, I showed up at Brest. Oh wow, Aberdeen's there. Interesting. Oh, I didn't realize that Glasgow and Edinburgh were that close to each other. I mean, they're like really close to each other. Geez, like 35 miles. Well, I will be honest with you, I do not know. I have not really looked at a map of Scotland very much. I was thinking Aberdeen was where Inverness was. Just trying to remember in my head. You know, it's, again, this is like, why would I know this? I don't look at anything there. Okay. Is there a canal between Glasgow and Edinburgh? Seems like there should be. That's a hell of a way to go around. Oh my gosh, they almost connect. There should be. It might be a pain to dig, especially now. Rosyth. Yep, that was where the battle cruisers were in the First World War. Yeah, maybe one day I'll get a chance to go over there. Can't go there first though. Can't go to Europe and go see somebody else's ancestors first. I need subtitles for me. Hate to hear my voice on recordings. Someone's actually trying to break the record of staying on Rockall at this moment. Is that the name of the rock? As opposed to the I could just see a band that's filming like a video from there. Where are you filming the video from? From Rockall. What's the name of that place that's the anti-aircraft platform that's in the Thames on the Noland or something like that? Like, I read something, some kook up there is like, you could be the Lord of Noland for the price of, yeah, whatever. He's just writing down things of paper or whatever. And they just leave some crazy, just leave him on that rock, that crazy bastard. That way he's not. Yeah, I'm always fascinated by like little weird things like that. Rockall. There's apparently some island near Canada, right? That the Danes and the Canadians like supposedly like leave liquor for each other or something like that. Just really weird little weirdisms like that. Just kind of. Forth Clyde Canal links Edinburgh to Glasgow. Well, there should be a canal. I just didn't see it on the map. I didn't zoom in enough. Yeah, that's a hell of a way around. Sealand. There you go. Wasn't there a shipping company that was called Sealand? I don't know if they're still around. Reminds me of that, like a container ship, Sealand. Brandt, as opposed to Colonel Brandt of Cross of Iron fame, James Mason, who I think is really funny when people are like he was like a devout pacifist, like he didn't go in the Second World War, and but yet he plays like military in military movies. I think that's kind of funny, odd. Speaking of which, there's like some new Rommel movie or whatever. Have you seen it? I bet it's somebody else. I've yet to see anybody that plays Rommel in a movie that even remotely looks like Rommel. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, it's not like George C. Scott and Patton. I think George C. Scott looks more like Patton than Patton does. But I've never seen a Rommel movie. A Rommel even played by anyone in any mini-series, show, anything that even remotely looks like the guy. Maybe it's just not important, but you know, it's like if you did something about Monty and you have some guy that doesn't look like Monty, it doesn't really work, you know? Monty's kind of a unique looking individual. You know, he looks like him. Speaking of which, I couldn't stand what's his name in Finest Hour. He just didn't look like Churchill to me at all. I always get stuck talking about actors, and I don't think about him all day long, so I can't remember what his name is. I can visualize him, whatever his name is. Just didn't do it for me. Gonna play somebody, at least make some attempt to make them look like the person that they're playing. Rock all. There must be fresh water there. They dig deep enough, maybe. There's something you take for granted. Live somewhere that has no fresh water. Ed Harris might have been a good Rommel at the time he filmed Enemy at the Gates. Yeah, I think so. And I like Ed Harris. Did Ed Harris make an attempt to do a German accent when he played Koenig? I can't remember. I like Ed Harris. Yeah, you're right. That's about how his hair was, because Rommel was balding in the front. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you nailed it on that one. Yeah, I like Ed Harris. He kind of has this. I feel like his personality is really similar to Robert Duvall, who I also like. So I don't know. Maybe that's the tie-in. I'm gonna get some more coffee, and I will be right back. One thing I don't like about movies is that I feel that I am so not a typical American. When I'm about to tell you something that I don't know anybody who would say what I'm about to say. That the movie industry here just seems like it's so dominant around the world, when there could be other people that from other countries that are just could do so much of a better job and just aren't out there. I just feel like the fact that it's so dominant in other countries and it's not even their country. I mean, I understand it being dominant here because it is America and but it's just silly to have, you know, people in Italy, for instance, maybe they know the U.S. actors more than even the ones that they have in their own country. It just seems just weird, you know. Because you said Ed Harris, and I like Ed Harris, but man, there's so much of an opportunity for people that maybe aren't known that I don't think it's that difficult to act. I mean, I think a lot more people could do it than are, and man, there could be some. I love seeing movies when it's people I don't know, or foreign actors. I don't care that it's in another language. I'm gonna put subtitles on anyways. I'm tired of seeing the same people over and over again, so I'm pro giving other people a chance. So and I'm not saying I specifically like people because they're from another country or whatever. But talent, there's talented people everywhere, you know, and it's just a shame that they're not as well known. They could be doing better, better job of it. Enemy at the Gates, man. What's his name? Jude Law. Like, make no attempt to do his Russian accent. Come on, man. Rockall is a huge granite rock, uninhabitable. UK claims it is part of the sea territory disputed by Ireland. It is actually part of Scotland. I think the record is 55 days for living there. So you have to bring your own water, or you just lick the condensation off of granite. Is Gibraltar also granite? Why do I feel like it is? Rock all. It's short for it's all rock. I thought it was Iceland and Ireland. My bad. Let's take a look at it. There's something about uninhabitable islands that is kind of just fascinating. There's a Rockall, the archipelago in Ontario. That's not the right one. Oh, come on. I know about where it is. Yeah, it's not that one. It is one word, right? Just like the way you spelled it. Rockall Island map. No, I don't want that one. Nobody's heard of that one in Canada. Rock. Still not getting anything. Google Maps, you're stupid. All right. I've gone there before. Here we go. Rockall Island. It's spelled the same way. An uninhabitable granite islet, Baby Island, in the North Atlantic Ocean. The United Kingdom claims that Rockall lies within its territorial sea as part of territory, but this claim is not recognized by Ireland. Highest elevation, 57.27 feet, just like Florida. Coordinates. Yeah, you should give me a link so I can click on it and see it on the map. Can you land on Rockall? Global State of Waveland, Micronation. Occupation under Greenpeace administration. Pacifists are now occupying things. Lieutenant Commander Desmond Scott hoists the Union. Man, I'm telling you, the Union Jack is a pretty freaking flag. And I don't care if you agree or disagree with what they've done in the past. It is a good looking flag. Okay, so it's even with... Man, I forgot, you told me how to say that. Islay. Is it Islay? It's equivalent with that section of Scotland. So let me go over. Let me get on my map and scroll on over. I use maps every day. Love it. Love it. Okay. We don't care about the Canadian Rockall map. Rockall Island. That's silly. Nobody gives a crap about it. Nobody knows that thing. Come on, catch up. Okay, let's go to the Islay. I think it's how you told me to say it. Ah, Snapdragon. Come on. Let's get the Mighty Mouse here. Ha! Mighty Mouse. Okay. And let me do let's do more. I need a satellite view for this. It's got to be one of these. Why doesn't it come up on this map? I mean, it's not, I mean, I know it's small, but and what's really funny, if you go to these obscure places, and then sometimes there'll be like a Google review that's just really funny. You know, like, don't go there, it's all one rock. Or this place rocks, or something like that. Okay, there's the Pharaoh. I don't know why it's not coming up on this. More satellite. It should be right there, but it's not coming up. You see these seafloors, these zits on the seafloor. It's got to be at the top of one of them. Oh well, maybe it's not on Google Maps for some strange, unknown reason. Let's see. Can I click on these coordinates? Coordinates. And let's see. Bing Maps, Bird Eye. I hate Bing Maps. Open Google Earth, Google Maps satellite. Street. There's a street view for Rockall. All right, I'm gonna go there. I gotta see what the hell that's all about. No street view. Then why did you say there was one? This is why I have trust issues. Let's go back. No, it's not coming up here. Oh well, I swore I'd been there before. On the Google Maps. We're lucky in the UK that we're exposed to films from Scandinavia and Northern Europe. Lots of good work. There's an expedition going there next month. You gonna plant a new flag? If Scotland permanently leaves the UK, I'm not saying that it's happening or I'm against it because the Union Jack would look stupid without the blue in it, wouldn't it? Don't the Welsh get kind of screwed? You know, they don't. There's no dragon on the Union Jack. No space for it, really, but. Yeah, don't take the blue out of the Union Jack. That would be not so nice. See, I look at things for practical reasons. It'd make the flag look stupid. Okay, Bloom. I think these guys are still drying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's grab another 3. That's it. We're knocking things out. We got to do this stuff anyways. And I'm looking for guys that have the new writing on them, not the old one. Here's the Master Sergeant of the whole thing, Stepan Orlewski. Jurgensen, this is a cool figure. He's got, this sculptor is just amazing. Metzler, that's another one. Littmeyer. That's part of the mortar crew. I'm not so interested in them right this moment. Not really interested in the guy laying down. I think one of the things I'm going to do is I'm not going to allow people to change their position. You're there. Doesn't matter whether you're kneeling or laying down. That is a huge time savings. Not having to worry about that kind of stuff. You can see the plateau is on Google Maps, but the resolution is not good enough. Big round plateau in the middle of the Atlantic. Yeah, I swear I've seen it on there before, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, you know. All right. Oh, I hear someone. Hold on one moment. Okay. Let's knock out some more of these guys. Everybody's got rocks, because otherwise it gets too difficult to put those on there. Yeah, this is a beautiful figure. He's got a scoped semi-automatic rifle. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. This is why I love this sculptor. This guy died I don't know how old he was. He died way too young. He needed many more things to do. Let's see if we can. Okay, this light isn't helping, and it's getting really hot, which is strange because it's LED. I guess LEDs do get hot. There we go. Let's put something behind it. What if I put something that's white behind it? Is it better or worse? And not necessarily my paint job, which actually looks pretty good, but it's the sculptor. Let's see, let's find where the center of this is. There we go. Let's go down a little bit. Yeah, he's semi-glossish, but what if I do this? Okay, he still looks okay, good. It's kind of in my way. So, you know, he's got a semi-automatic rifle that is scoped, and he's got a grenade in one boot. The rank is etched on the figure. And he's got that whole Panzergrenadier thing with the little straps that you can stick foliage stuff on the helmet, which is very indicative of, say, Barbarossa 41. Really cool figure. Combat Miniatures. Big fan of Dave Alsop's work. Big fans. What got me into this scale? My buddy was not a big a fan of this particular sculptor as I was. He liked FAA. I'm not an FAA fan. Just don't like the style of faces are done. I don't like the style a lot of the things are done in, but I do have some FAA figures, but I won't be painting anymore, I don't think. Almost sounds like I'm doing a dental cleaning. So hopefully you guys don't have bad flashbacks about that. Dentist sounds. Doesn't bother me any. I fall asleep at the dentist. Or I should say, I have trouble staying awake at the dentist. And I'm pretty sure that the names that I used for most of these people are all drawn from characters that I played in Close Combat, the computer game. I just was playing and I wrote people's names like, oh, I like Jurgensen. We could make that work. I'm pretty certain that's the case with this guy. I wouldn't automatically go with a Nordic name, a Nordic surname for somebody in the Wehrmacht. It's not my first choice, but it works. Okay. Who's next? Another Combat Miniatures guy, Nemak. This guy's an LT, I think is what we use him as. Lieutenant. Not a lieutenant, as opposed to a right tenant. We're still going to do these in groups of 3. I think it's just easier to process it that way. We'll use Stefan next. What did he step on? This guy, we did him as the platoon sergeant. Stuff's stuck on a lot more than I would have liked, considering I didn't use any glue or anything. This is just paint and the woodland scenic stuff, which I don't know if it made it out to Europe, but it's such a has-been type of material. I wouldn't dream of using it in anything in the future. But that was all the rage. Maybe they still have it over there for model train supplies or something like that. I wonder, I'm going to try something drastic here. Shit, I should do something really drastic. I hope I don't regret this. Nope. Because this stuff's like a pain to deal with. Yeah, that's not very helpful. Let's figure, let me use some. Hand sanitizer and see if it'll loosen some of this. That's all I need to do is just loosen it up. It's just not budging. No. Oh well. I don't know if it's sawdust. It's woodland scenic, so it's soft. It's like foam dust, But it's just such a pain. It doesn't hurt anything until it's close to the figure, and then it's just making me. The process of doing this is taking a lot longer than it should. It's kind of the same thing like if you try to scrape a soft plastic figure, it leaves like fuzzies. It's kind of the same thing. I just want to be done with the fuzzy stuff. Oh, that's 3? And we got another 4? Alright, well let's go ahead and do the bases on those 3. I ordered 100 of these, and I probably have about 100 figures painted. Maybe a little shy of that. But we need to fix them up so we like them a little bit more. Still haven't gotten the. I keep forgetting about it. I'm honestly probably just gonna walk away from it at this point. But the the mat situation with the Tiny War Games UK. That guy's either really shifty. He's got to be really shifty at this point because now it's like, okay, he was going to send me a replacement mat. That was back at the beginning of December. And then he made excuses why he hadn't sent it yet. I'm like, fine, if you're not going to send it, just tell me, dude, I'm not going to send it. Go to hell. All right, that's fine. But I've been going back and forth with him for, what's it been, 6 months? And don't tell me you're going to send me a mat and then don't. But at least I've stopped looking in the mailbox. But he said, oh, I sent it out on whatever. I said, well, we haven't received it yet. He's like, oh, okay, I'll just send you another. I think he's just probably waiting for me to just get tired and drop it, which it'll be a life lesson. I will never order a play mat not sight unseen. You know, I actually don't have a problem with it being a little semi-glossish because it's not that semi-glossish. And it's thin. I'm okay with it being thin. I'm not okay with getting something that has a bunch of crease marks where the color of it is worn out because it was probably in a hot warehouse, folded, and the stuff just came out. So I basically have a substandard damaged product. Like if you would have told me, hey, these are kind of shitty, that's why they're at a discount, I would have probably said, okay, never mind, I won't get one. But probably foam then. People still use it over here. Yeah, it's like a railroad thing. It's a railroad flocking material. I have a ton of it left, and maybe I'll find a use for it in something else. But I just based it green and then put the flocking on it. Probably because I saw something in a White Dwarf magazine. That's what they were doing at the time. Oh, we're starting to get to Transom Light 30. It's fine. We should still be able to do this. I'm not doing anything that's color matching or anything like that. It just casts some hellacious shadows. So it's just unusual to run to somebody in a hobby, especially somebody from the UK. You guys are actually, in my opinion, better for customer service than people in the US. And then just have some kind of a snafu of this level kind of happen. But I did resist buying one at the War Game show last month. I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel like I want to make my own, but I also don't want to spend the time to do it. Okay, let's put the goop stuff on here. You know what? I'm not gonna do that. Let's put the tufts. Let's finish these ones that we had here. Let's get the French partisan guys, and let's go grab the tufts for that, which should be right here on top, but they probably won't be, because even though I'm fairly organized, I still am incompetent sometimes. Oh, I never took my meds this morning, did I? My med. So I don't turn into an itchy leper. Alright, here is the container for it. And here they are on top. I might vary the one in the Germans a little bit, but this is what we've been using for the French. Let's grab 3 of these. These as well. I know they're supposed to be self-adhesive, but the self-adhesiveness is rather poor. You guys in the UK have a brand of PVA? Like, I pretty much call it Elmer's every time. Assembled in the USA, Atlanta, Georgia. Natural separation may occur. Shake before use. I have never heard that you have to shake this stuff before using it, but nothing to shake. It's all like solid and stuff. All right. Who has a huge open space? This dude right here. I'm gonna put that one right there. Let's see, can we use this brush right here? I decided not to use static grass on these guys, as I've seen other people use almost just all of this tufts, and I like it better for these individual figures. You could probably use this rather large one here. Okay, this is Armand. This one could use a really big one. I got plenty of those to choose from. They're difficult to work in places sometimes. So I want one that's kind of long. Maybe this one. This is a hard one to try to work in somewhere. Yeah, that looks okay there. And then we'll get one of these little ones to go there. There we go. I like that. This is relatively large and hard to kind of use sometimes. So we have an opportunity of fitting it in here. Let's go ahead and do that. Difficulty sticking down there. Let's. Okay, and then this little guy in there. To have the names on them that stands out. So when the chip for that character comes up, you know where they are. God, this chair likes to bitch. Okay, and then this guy, Guy, also known as the guy with a grenade. I think I can get away with just one right there. Because his base actually looks pretty good. It's got some, yeah, this guy actually had a pretty big base, and it's all like kind of molded into the. So I believe this makes 10. I believe this makes 10 now. Let's see who we got. Let's grab something that's made of metal so we don't have an accident. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's 10. That's easily three players on one side. And of course they have I need to paint FFI on one of these guys. Not all of them, but just one. Now, see if we can change the color. There we go. That's a little bit better. And of course on the other side, the side you guys aren't seeing, let's move these guys to this and flip this. Have all the names of all the characters. Like I said, when their chit comes up, you know whose turn it is. And these guys are unusual that they all have first names on them instead of surnames on them. All the other troops will have surnames. You know, these guys are probably not their real names either. It's like, oh, you can just call me so-and-so. So, anyhow, I think these folks are really useful for a skirmish game, especially because they have unique weapons. You know, not everybody's equipped the same way. We have a Sten and a Sten and a Sten, and a bolt-action rifle of some kind, a Thompson, maybe a BAR, pistol and a Panzerfaust, another rifle of some sort, and another Sten. So, actually have quite a bit of firepower. But now we have 10 folks done. I need something better to carry these guys over with. I don't want them to fall on the ground. I have to fix them. Let's use this lead. This lead should work just fine. I'm going to have to reconfigure this stuff at some point. Irish and my Ottomans and I should probably do that now that I'm thinking about it. Alright, I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so this is, I'll move the Spanish up here. See if I can get them in 2 rows. Okay, see if I can get the Turks in 2 rows. 2 columns. I'll try some line rampant tomorrow. Just using some of these troops. Irish are definitely a good candidate for that. I have 3 more armies. 1, 2, I may be able to fit them in here. All in 1 row. Let's get the Transylvanians up here. Cleared out a whole level. very irregular looking, and they still look cool. Okay, now we have a whole level that's clear. There we go. Gasogene for completeness. What is that? What's a gasogene? I want to do the buildings, man. I've already got like these stores named. I don't even have any of them. Le Petit Soufflé. Okay. I'm gonna punt on the Germans. I need to think about it. I don't want them all to have the same. First of all, I got a million different colors of flock, and I don't want to consume them all using them for other guys and have to buy them again. I got lots of them that need to have. You know, I even have some that have almost like little flowers. You know, they don't necessarily look bad. So we need to think about that before I do it and have to redo it. So, but yeah, how many is it? Six that are well done. And there's some guys that are in 43 and 44 type clothing, and some have 1941 clothing, whatever. I don't care. Gas-powered car with a huge canvas balloon on the roof. Well, that's not how you beat the Germans with stuff like that. And I do need to do the basing for this guy. Actually, I gotta seal him first. This is that really rough-looking half-track that actually turned out looking pretty decent, honestly. So, anyhow, we're gonna call this one a quit. It's been over 3 hours. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning for sure.